What's up, you guys? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Danielle Hallen and I am back with another true crime video. And today we're speaking about the current disappearance of 22-year-old Riley Strain that is all over social media. Riley's story starts off like far too many that we see while looking into true crime. A young man out at a bar for a good time somehow ends up walking off intoxicated and alone by a body of water. And I have no idea why this happens so often, but here we are. And this case is so recent, it's not even been 2 weeks, and it needs all of the help that it can get. I've been tagged by you guys so many times in videos and news clips and TikToks. I've got DMs everywhere. And so I want to help spread his name, the details of his disappearance, so that maybe someone with information can come forward, or someone possibly knows of an organization that might be able to help. His mom has broken my heart in every single interview that she has been in. His family's desperate to bring him home and keep his name out there. Let's just get into all of the known details so far. Riley is 22 years old from Missouri, and he is currently attending the University of Missouri as a business finance major. He is incredibly smart, he's incredibly driven, he's an intern at Northwestern Mutual, and according to his family, he hopes that he can continue to work with them when he's set to graduate, and he's supposed to graduate in just a few months. It's just making this case that much more upsetting. Everyone that has spoken about him describes him as being kind and gentle and very charismatic. Riley knows no strangers. He can and he will talk to everyone, and I feel like that really shows in the amount of people that have come forward to try and help locate him. He seems so loved and so respected by his classmates and his community. He's also very close to family. He speaks to them like 3 or 4 times a day without fail, and his mom, dad, and step-parents have been working closely together to try to bring him home. So a little over a week ago, on Friday, March 8th, Riley went with a large group of guys to Nashville, Tennessee for a fraternity formal. I've seen numbers everywhere from 50 guys to 200. So it's a big event. Now, it seems that they arrived that day, and by nightfall, they headed out to downtown Nashville. Riley FaceTimed his mom at around 7:30 p.m. to check in. He was sending her pictures of the bars that they'd been going to and seemed to be having a great time. He had been here a few times before, from my understanding, but things went downhill this time very quickly. By the following day, March 9th, Riley was reported missing by his friends, and it has been a relentless search since then to figure out where he is and what on earth happened. What has been gathered, Riley and his friends ended up at Luke Bryan's bar on Broadway that night. It's called Luke's 32 Bridge. It's a rooftop bar. They've got live music. It seems to be pretty popular. It's right there on Broadway where like all the tourist action is. And at around 9:35 p.m., so just hours after speaking to his mom, Riley ended up being kicked out of the bar by security. Now, his family says that the bar initially told them it was because Riley had been overserved. So he was highly intoxicated and they had to ask him to leave. His family then went on to say that his friends claim a few of them tried to leave the bar with Riley when they realized what was going on. I guess they initially got separated from him right when he was asked to leave, but unfortunately they were stopped by staff and told to go back in to pay their tabs. So Riley, who was very drunk, was tossed out of the bar all on his own. His friends claim that by the time they managed to leave the bar, Riley was nowhere to be found. One friend managed to reach him by phone, and Riley told him that he was just going to head back to their hotel, and they were staying at a place called the Tempo Hotel, which is about 5 blocks away from Luke's 32 Bridge. So it was a manageable walk on foot. It would have been maybe about 10 minutes. It's pretty straightforward. There's like one turn. So I guess they were hoping that he was going to make it there no problem. I have no idea if his friends stayed out after this conversation, if they went back to the hotel, if they tried to check on Riley again, but regardless, it wasn't until the following day that they realized that Riley never made it back. At 1:46 p.m. on Saturday, March 9th, one of Riley's friends called to report him as missing. Here is a little bit of the 911 call.
911, what is the address of your emergency?
Hi, I don't have an address. I'm trying to file a missing persons report, and the Central Police is closed, and the sheriff's office said that we couldn't do it there.
Okay, so where exactly are you now?
We're in front of the Central Police, how do you say that? Precinct? How do you say that? Precinct. The Central Police Precinct on...
Okay, there's 601 Korean Veterans Boulevard and downtown Nashville, like right across from the Music City Center?
Yeah.
Okay. And is that where you're able to wait for a police officer to come and speak to you?
Yeah, we can wait for an officer here.
Okay. What's the phone number you're calling from? Who is it that you're wanting to report is missing?
We're here on a fraternity formal trip. It's one of my good buddies.
Okay. What is his name?
His name is Riley Strain. Riley, R-I-L-E-Y, Strain, S-T-R-A-I-N.
Okay. Is he white, black, Hispanic, Asian?
He's white. 22-year-old, 6'5", blonde.
Okay. And what was he last seen wearing?
He's wearing jeans, boots, and a half black shirt, half brown, light brown.
His friends also reached out to his parents, who began the long drive to Nashville to try and look for their son. This was not like him, and obviously leaving the bar alone and intoxicated makes you very vulnerable. That's just a call that you never want to have to get as a parent. His friends said that they had been attempting to locate him through Snapchat, they had tried calling him multiple times, but at this point nothing was working, and his phone was going straight to voicemail. Nashville Metro PD started to reach out to local hospitals and jails to see if maybe he had an accident or passed out somewhere or, got into a fight. You literally never know because downtown Nashville is such a busy and chaotic place. But they weren't able to find a record of him anywhere, so they decided to start pulling surveillance from the downtown area, hoping that they would catch him and it would lead to answers. Now, when Riley was kicked out of the bar, he should have taken a left out of Luke's bar for about 5 blocks and then taken a right onto Rosa L. Parks. Like I said, very straightforward, and he would have been right there at his hotel. But all surveillance suggested that he went the opposite direction instead, and the footage showed just how out of it Riley really was. Just minutes after leaving the bar, Riley was captured on surveillance heading north on 3rd Avenue. He is stumbling, and he is clearly having a hard time. By 9:45, surveillance ended up catching him again, and this time it is just even more alarming. Riley had turned right onto Church Street, again going the full-on opposite direction, and at this point he is running before ultimately falling face down onto the ground. I have no idea why he was running, if he was running from someone. I have absolutely no idea, but it was very hard to watch. Just knowing that he's alone, he's not in his right mind, he's in a place he's not very familiar with, but it was even worse to see all of the people that were around him and knowing that people saw this and no one stopped to help him. Riley struggled to get up, but eventually he was able to get back on his feet and he headed off again. And a few minutes later, he was captured crossing 1st Avenue onto Gay Street. And this street runs directly along the side of the Cumberland River. Riley continued down this road, and at 9:52, he was seen on surveillance walking north between James Robertson Parkway and the Woodland Street Bridge. Both of those bridges cross the river. This entire stretch, when you're walking on the sidewalk, there's only like a railing or a small stone wall at some places, but it's that, a steep embankment, and the river. There is an actual chain link fence, some of the portions, and specifically between those two bridges, it's pretty dark and quiet. There's what appears to be an underground parking deck, but other than that, it's just an empty stretch out of the way of main downtown traffic. According to phone records, police were able to confirm that it was around this time approximately that Riley spoke to his friend on the phone. So it seems like he thought he was heading towards the hotel, but that was just not at all the case. From this point on, Riley's phone went completely silent and he wasn't captured on any more surveillance. There was no evidence really at all that he ever left this area. Nashville Metro decided to release the surveillance, hoping that someone else may have seen him and could hopefully bring forward helpful information, because after all, this is downtown Nashville on a Friday night, and as you can see in the footage, he was far from the only person out there. It was around 10 p.m. at this point, so I'm sure plenty of people were just starting to head out or were just coming back from dinner. When I was in this particular area, I know that there's a lot of Ubers and people that kind of sit around waiting to do rides. Someone had to have seen something. Maybe not directly in that last area he was known to be in, because it was like a quieter cut-through road, but someone had to have seen something helpful. By Wednesday, March 12th, it really seemed like the police believed, based on everything they had so far, that Riley ended up in the water. And again, this is unfortunately a common occurrence. They sent out boats with sonar equipment to search. There were people on foot checking along the banks of the river. There were drones, and not just organized searches with the local police, but Riley's family, friends, and the community had all come together to try and find him or any sign of him. The people that saw this footage of Riley were so disturbed, rightfully so, that he had walked off alone in the state that he was in with no help. So it really pushed a lot of people to action. And it wasn't only in Nashville. Despite being hundreds of miles away, the community in Riley's home in Missouri got together as well to hold a vigil for him, hoping for his safe return. And a lot of people, including Riley's family, started to voice their concerns over how all of this happened to begin with. Because like I said, Riley's family claimed that they had been told Riley was overserved and kicked out. And it is illegal in Nashville to serve alcohol to someone that is already visibly intoxicated. And his friends claim that they tried to go with him when he was kicked out so he wasn't alone, but for some reason staff told him that they couldn't. So a lot of people were trying to figure out if the bar had any sort of legal liability for whatever went on to happen to Riley. And the Tennessee Alcoholic Beverage Commission seemed concerned as well because they announced they had launched an investigation into it. And in the middle of all of that happening, a huge piece of new information was released. Riley's family and their spokesperson said that there had been others who had come forward claiming to have seen Riley in that last spot he was known to be in. And what they had to say was frightening. While authorities haven't directly confirmed this witness at this point, this person did speak to the media anonymously. Now, this man lives in a nearby homeless encampment that is set up on the embankment between Gay Street and Cumberland River. So Riley would have walked straight past this area in that last stretch of his known walk. And this person believes that he saw Riley almost fall down the embankment that night.
I seen the guy that went missing. He came down through here. We heard a commotion. We looked back up. He almost fell over. The last bush right there caught him. He was very, very, very intoxicated, I guess. I mean, he was stumbling harder I've never seen anybody stumble that hard before.
The man telling me he didn't check on Riley since someone else was already there.
I yelled up. They said, no, he's just drunk. He's okay.
The man, who asked not to be identified, says he reported the entire encounter to detectives. He says Riley continued in the same direction up First Avenue. But then Riley's trail stops. Other security footage just a block up the way doesn't appear to show Riley, according to his family. Riley's relatives, who have been in town since the first day he was missing, say they're working to track down anyone who was in Riley's last known location by the bridge around 10 p.m. that night, either walking on a scooter, in a rideshare, or perhaps driving by.
So while it seems that in that moment, nothing necessarily bad happened to Riley, it was just a close call, the only thing that I can think about is who on earth is this person that seemed to be with Riley? Was it just someone that was checking on him for a moment? Was it maybe someone just walking nearby that also almost saw him fall and was checking on him? I just have a lot of questions because all of the surveillance to this point showed Riley was alone aside from random people walking around him. And it's just odd to me that moments after this, Riley drops off the map. And if there was someone out there that had seen him almost fall, why didn't that person come forward and say, hey, I had this experience with him. I'm concerned XYZ may have happened, or this is how he was when I was with him. But again, I will say this doesn't seem to be confirmed by authorities yet, so take it as you will. And the following day of Thursday, March 14th, so just last Thursday, the police held a press conference. They announced that they were trying absolutely everything they could to get into the data from Riley's phone and his Apple Watch. I have seen his family state that his Apple Watch didn't have the location set up yet, so I don't know what exactly they're going to find from that. But they also announced that they had been going to local homeless encampments to see if there was anyone who might have seen Riley. So maybe they just did this as one of their typical steps, or maybe they were taking the sighting seriously and trying to confirm it. Also announced that so far they didn't believe that foul play was involved. So the search just continued. Nonprofit organizations like the Cajun Navy and A Voice for the Voiceless reached out to try and help search. They were passing out flyers. Total strangers have been driving hours to Nashville to help search, and news of his disappearance is making it on a national level. It is absolutely everywhere. And by Friday, March 15th, Luke Bryan himself, along with his restaurant, ended up making a public statement. Luke Bryan sent his thoughts to Riley's family, but the statement made from the bar seemed to, in my opinion, just kind of make things more confusing. So according to the bar, they had not overserved Riley like it was being claimed potentially happened. They said that they had gathered all information they could, from surveillance to receipts, to try to figure figure out what exactly happened that night. And they claim that while Riley was there, which it doesn't seem he was there for very long, he only had one alcoholic beverage and 2 waters. They claimed that at this point, security made a decision based on their conduct standards to kick Riley out of the bar. However, they didn't get into specifics. They didn't say directly that he appeared too intoxicated, but I feel like with the videos that we've seen, it's kind of easy to assume that's likely why they decided to kick him out. However, they then went on to say that Riley was taken down the stairs to the Broadway Street exit, and that one of his friends that he had been at the bar with actually followed him down the stairs. But this friend just walked him to the door and then walked back up to the bar. And they strongly denied that they never ever prevented anyone from leaving with Riley. So at this point, there's now 2 different stories going on here that paint 2 different pictures. And there is a lot going on out there. I've seen some people claim that they made Riley leave through the back door and not the front. There's just a whole lot out there that I've not been able to confirm or deny, and I've not seen police confirm or deny. But according to most news outlets, the bar does seem to be fully cooperative, and they've handed everything they have over to police. But obviously, this raised a lot of questions about what is actually going on here. Now, because of the way that things have been reported, many people, because of this information, wondered that if this one drink he had was spiked, because it is only widely reported that he went to this one bar, he had this one drink, and to be acting like he was in the video, it just doesn't seem to add up. But there are several other resources out there that do state he had gone to other bars prior to this, so it's really hard to know how many drinks he had total prior to arriving at Luke's. That is just one of the many theories that is circulating online. And then on Saturday, March 16th, another call came into 911. Someone had spotted a body floating along the Cumberland River. So right away, authorities went out with boats, they had sonar, they were on the river, canines were brought in, and sure enough, remains were found. But right away, it was determined that they weren't Riley's. Now, not much has been said about those remains. I think it was a woman. This person was wearing something different than Riley was wearing. I am sure there's another family out there going through absolute hell right now. Riley's family at this point had stated that they had been getting minimal information from authorities, but they understood that there was just a lot going on. They just wish that they had more. They wish that more could be done. And honestly, who wouldn't feel like that in a situation like they are in?
I haven't talked to my boy for over a week. And it's hard.
Daily calls, texts, and FaceTimes define their relationship.
Just, how's your day going? Or he called to tell me something good about school or his internship.
That tells you right there what kind of a kid he truly is.
But his love for family, friends, sports, and life defines him.
Dismiss his attitude. Dismiss everything about him. He's a good kid.
1 week has gone by since anyone has seen or heard from their son, Riley Strain. Crews scoured high and low Saturday morning for Riley, or a clue to where he is. Riley Strain's parents and step-parents, who all just prefer parents,
We're doing the best we can.
are asking you to share anything you know.
We need some answers. We've been down here for a week trying our best to come up with anything.
And thanking anyone who has searched, supported, or shared Riley's story thus far.
What do you say to somebody that gives up a part of their life to help you find your life? It's amazing.
Thank you for getting the word out and keeping the word out. And please don't stop sharing. Don't stop sharing till we bring Riley home.
So they can be reunited with a young man they say they're blessed to know.
Please, just continue.
Because of the traction Riley's case got between the news coverage and social media coverage, there is an incredible amount of tips coming in. So there is a lot the police are trying to sift through. And unfortunately, with cases this large, people will call in tips with their own theories and speculation, disguising them as something they solidly witnessed to get more credibility, and it can just get really messy really fast. And it's difficult to sort through. It's really a double-edged sword because you want all these people to know about what's going on, on, but the people that it draws in are sometimes just not the best, and it can complicate things tremendously. And all of this talk also means that there's a lot of conversations happening online, and this brought forward some very interesting information. There's a creator out there that hosts the Pascal show, and he posted about the case several times at this point, and a woman reached out to him with a tip. And she has since spoken to numerous fringe sources about what she saw. I've not seen any like mainstream news really report this yet, but this woman works with the homeless community in the area, providing food, water, supplies, and she said that on Sunday the 10th, so just 2 days after Riley went missing, she went down to something known as Tent City, and she noticed a young man there that was riding a bike, and he was wearing a really dirty pair of jeans, a really dirty zip-up jacket, but she noticed that he was wearing a relatively clean and together button-up shirt. And this stuck out to her because it is very rare for people in the encampment to be wearing clean clothes, and the shirt itself was also just very distinct. And it wasn't until later that she ended up hearing about Riley's disappearance, and when she saw a photo of the shirt, she was flabbergasted. She immediately recognized it as the shirt that the young man had been wearing at the encampment. It definitely wasn't Riley, just want to make that clear. She did not see Riley, but she did believe it was possibly his shirt. She reached out to a handful of other people that had gone with her, being like, do you have any pictures of this guy? Because they take lots of pictures when they're there. They all remembered him, but nobody had a picture of him to confirm if this was or was not Riley's shirt. So she ended up calling the non-emergency line that transferred her to what I'm assuming is the tip line, but I have no idea if they ever reached out to her to look deeper into this. She just really wanted it checked out in case it was something that could be helpful. And since nothing really had been found at this point, this information was pretty dang big and opened up a lot of possibilities. Obviously, there are so many ways that this person could have come across this shirt, and so another man that works within the community went to dig in a little deeper because a lot of assumptions were being made right away. The amount of attention this information got, he was just worried for people living in the encampment. He was so worried that people were going to come down there, start digging through people's tents, making accusations, or harming a community that is already struggling because they have a theory that they're determined to prove. So he went to the encampment himself to try to ask around and get some sort of clarity to share with people. And he ended up being told by numerous people that one guy there did in fact have a shirt similar to Riley's. They all described it the same, they all said the same person had it, and they said that this person told them he found it hanging on a railing around the same area that we know Riley was seen. Now, this man has specifically described a building that it was out front of, but I've not been able to find it. He says it's along the riverfront, but the only thing that's popping up when I search the name of it somewhere farther in town. But this person apparently told people at the encampment that he found the shirt, there was a little bit of vomit on it, but it was otherwise clean, so he wiped it off and took it as a new shirt to wear. And we do know that Riley was clearly intoxicated, so it's no stretch of the imagination to think that he maybe got sick. But regardless, where the shirt was found is just the one thing that makes me question it, because Riley would have had to backtrack to this location to put the shirt, and we know he wasn't captured on video again, and in all of the videos he's wearing the shirt, so I'm just unsure how it would have gotten there if it was in fact his. Obviously, maybe foul play, we don't really know, but I don't want to make any huge assumptions about it. Now, this man reported all this information to the police. He also spoke to Riley's family. He got all of these conversations with the witnesses on video, so I'm hopeful that they will look into it, because if they can confirm it is Riley's shirt and get a specific location of where the shirt was found, it could potentially lead to other evidence, or it may prove that it wasn't Riley's shirt at all and focus can continue in another direction. But again, I just want to remind you that this information has not been confirmed by police that I've been able to see. It is hearsay, but it is a massive topic of conversation out there right now, so I wanted to speak on it a bit and give you guys like a full understanding, because all of this information is packed into like hours and hours long of interviews and videos. And from this point, it really seems that a new bombshell has been dropped every day. Sunday, March 17th, so legitimately a few days ago, a huge discovery was made by none other than two women who are avid true crimers.
Yeah, I did.
And we immediately
And my stomach dropped.
We begin with breaking news tonight as two women on TikTok uncover a startling piece of evidence in the disappearance of college student Riley Strain. Those girls finding the 22-year-old's bank card right by the river. This launching even more search efforts today, as Fox 17 News is now asking Metro Police if this changes the course of their investigation. It's the first major clue in the disappearance of University of Missouri senior Riley Strain in several days since he went missing March 8th. Riley's bank card discovered by Anna Clendening and Brandy Bainan, both on TikTok and passionately committed to helping bring Riley home.
Riley's face, I'm seeing every time I close my eyes. I haven't been able to sleep the last few days because I know his mom is not sleeping.
Brandy searching homeless camps and the steep rush and garbage-laden riverbanks since Tuesday.
Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, I did over 18,000 steps out here.
Sunday, their effort produces a significant piece of evidence right near where Riley was last seen, according to police.
9 days later, we found the credit card. 9 days later. It was pretty obvious that there was a card. I don't know, we need to do more. We need to do more.
Surveillance video shows Riley walking in the wrong direction after leaving Luke Bryan's bar, visibly intoxicated. His last known cell phone pings and sightings on video right in the area where the bank card was found. Search boats then arriving several hours later. Metro Police haven't yet responded to Fox 17 News' inquiry on whether the case has changed from no believed foul play to a criminal investigation. Riley's family at the river today working tirelessly to track down any leads possible and continuing to thank the many people who continue to help, these women vowing not to let up.
And we want answers.
And we want answers for them, and we're going to look for them.
If nobody else will, we will.
Yep.
They live close by and they couldn't just sit back and do nothing, which makes my heart just like absolutely explode. This area had already been searched several times. It was literally ground zero. So it was very frustrating that this hadn't been found. However, I've also seen that the water level over here can drastically change. So I'm unsure if maybe this was covered in water during that time or if it was just mist, which as awful as it is very easy to miss things on these searches, even with meticulous grid searches by multiple people. This was huge because it was the first piece of evidence found other than surveillance tying Riley to this area, and it puts him, or at least his belongings, very close to the water. Did Riley fall in the water and the card washed ashore? Did someone throw his belongings in the river and that washed ashore? There are just a lot of ways that it could have ended up there, but they haven't really released the state of the card, what their thoughts are on it. Authorities have only said that they're going to go back to this area to continue searching further. From my understanding, the extended searches in this area so far have not uncovered anything new. Now, before this news hit the media that day, the Uvalde Foundation also announced that they would be sending volunteers out to help in the search for Riley as well. But they claimed that they would not be searching along the river because for some reason they feel like it won't produce results. So instead, they have stated they will be focusing their search to the downtown area. I'm not sure if they know something that we don't, or maybe they just want to cover more bases, and maybe they've even changed their search area after the card was found along the embankment. I've not been able to find any more, but I'm sure we'll find out more sometime this week. And then on Monday, March 18th, another bit of surveillance was released and it shook people yet again. This time, Riley wasn't captured on business surveillance, but police body cam footage. And it was just minutes before he went dark, okay? Minutes, like 2 minutes. Officer Young had been called out to Gay Street just south of the bridge for a car break-in. In his body cam footage, you can see Riley walking past him and they have a very brief exchange.
How you doing, sir?
I'm good. How are you?
Good.
Officer Young had been called to Gay Street just south of the bridge. And this whole area between like First Avenue where Riley turned onto Gay Street and the area where he was last seen is like 0.2 miles. Like it is It is a very short distance. And he had been called to this area south of the bridge for a car break-in. And in his body cam footage, you can see Riley walking past him, and they have a very brief exchange. Now, the officer has since stated that Riley did not appear distressed when he very briefly saw him. And even some of Riley's family has stated that he does appear to be a little more with it in this footage than any of the previous footage. Obviously, he could have just been trying to get himself together to walk by a police officer. But really, since it's only a few seconds, it's kind of hard to tell the entirety of the situation. But Officer Young remained in this area for a total of 45 minutes. So I feel like had something drastic happened to Riley just a few hundred feet up the road where this officer was, I just feel like he would have heard it. And at the same time, I feel like if Riley had fallen down the embankment in that area and hit the water, that's also something that would have been heard. I just feel like I have so many more questions now. And this seems to be the running theme in this case. Every time a new piece of information comes out, I have a million more questions. The man that saw Riley fall in this area around the same time had also said that someone was with him. Someone called down to him and said, nope, this guy's just drunk, everything's fine. But in the body cam footage, Riley still appears to be alone. So did the officer see anyone else tagging along behind him, or was the man who saw him almost fall mistaken? I just feel like there's no clarity here, and it makes things that much more frustrating. Also knowing that the stars just didn't align and Riley didn't reach out to this officer for help or for directions, or that the officer didn't look over Riley for just a few more seconds to make sure he was okay. It's just one of those things where I just wish that something different had happened. Search for Riley continues, and it was announced that over 500 people from the University of Missouri are planning to travel to Nashville to search for him. A GoFundMe was also started for his family, and they've raised a huge amount of money to help Riley's family stay in Nashville. They are states away from home, experiencing the worst thing that could ever happen to a family. Everything is on pause for them until they can find Riley. The money is going to their hotels and to food and making sure that they don't have to worry about a single thing but taking care of themselves and finding their loved one, which is just how it should be. Now, as of the morning I am filming this, it has been confirmed that Riley's family have in fact seen video footage from inside of the bar, so I feel like they hopefully have a little bit more understanding of what happened then. They also saw footage of him at a food truck in the area. Neither of those have been released to the public as of yet, at least not that I can find. Police have also announced that they have scaled back the search. It doesn't sound like they're permanently scaling it back, but they did state yesterday, which I'm filming this on Tuesday, yesterday was Monday, that they want to focus on going through all the tips that they have because, as I said, it is an overwhelming amount. And they also have been waiting to get information back from his cell phone data, hoping it may give them some insight. I know that one of those last few times that he was seen along Gay Street was a final ping from his Life 360, but I'm not sure if they're hoping that maybe they'll be able to find if his phone traveled any further. I don't know what exactly they're hoping to get from this. I have seen that they were able to confirm that he didn't get a rideshare pickup, so he wasn't picked up by an Uber or a Lyft or any of those things. So I guess we'll just see what happens over the next couple of days. I did see that helicopters were supposed to fly over the river yesterday, but I don't think there were any organized ground searches, at least not by authorities, or water searches. But again, I'm hopeful they will continue later on this week. I feel like authorities at this point are kind of at a standstill because they've searched the river, they've searched the banks, and they're just not really finding anything. So I feel like they just aren't sure what to do next. However, the one thing that I do question and I keep thinking about is the current. Because the first thing I thought when I heard that he was last seen in this area around 10 and wasn't reported missing until like almost 2 o'clock the following day, if he had fallen in the water around that time, I don't know how far he could have traveled. However, I'm kind of clinging to the fact that I'm sure there are professionals that actually know what they're talking about and know how to calculate these things that have taken that into consideration. I feel like I just haven't seen anyone so far or any announcement made that they've traveled further downstream to check and see if that's the case. I do know that boaters and barge operators in the area have been asked to keep an eye out while they're on the water just in case, and I do know that volunteers have also been out in boats, so hopefully if he is there, he will be found. However, some of Riley's family have stated that they're not convinced that that is what happened. With all of the searching that has been done, they feel like something more would have been found if Riley had gone in the water. There's been none of his clothing, there's been no blood, his phone, nothing else has been found. So they're worried that maybe maybe he got into a car along that road and that's why he stopped showing up on footage, and who knows what happened to him after that. It's just really too early to rule anything out. While police have still said that they haven't found evidence of foul play, they're not ruling anything out. So again, we will see what's announced throughout the week. This case is changing day by day, sometimes hour by hour. I am sure by the time I post this, there will be more information out, but I just hope that Riley is found soon and brought home. His family has expressed hope that the TBI or some sort of other resource can be brought in to help searches continue while police go through phone records. I know there's EquiSearch. I know there are very water-specific searches that could potentially come out and help, because the search does not need to slow down. And finding the bank card in an area that had already been searched just kind of goes to show you that you can never check a place too many times. I know that authorities do need to be able to go through these tips. They need to be able to kind of reassess, reevaluate, redirect, but I do hope that someone is able to still be out there looking for Riley while they do that. As a very gentle reminder, please be safe when you are going out. Make sure that there is a sober friend, or even better, a few sober friends, and make sure that nobody leaves alone. And also, if you see someone struggling, please help them. That may be potentially one of the hardest parts about looking into this case, is seeing how many people saw him and did nothing. I understand a lot of people don't want to approach for safety reasons, but there's other options. Just call an Uber, call a taxi, yell from afar, say, hey, sit right there. I've got someone coming to pick you up to take you safely home. Call the cops even, because I can assure you right now that a night in jail for public intoxication or disorderly conduct or whatever they slap you with is so welcomed over a disappearance or something potentially worse. I have 2 kids, and envisioning them in Riley's place, clearly needing help, and people just staring and doing nothing is legitimately my worst fear. It has been absolutely heartbreaking to watch that happen. Now, I will keep you guys updated as things progress. If there is a group search of some kind, I am hoping I can find a way out there to help. Please share Riley's story, his missing person flyer. If you have any information at all, I have everything you need down below to get that information to the right place. I'm sure the past almost 2 weeks has felt like the longest time of Riley's family's life. Every day is probably excruciating, and the very least we can all do is to keep his name out there, make sure the media keeps talking, make sure that his story keeps on circulating around so that maybe it reaches the right person. On that note, I'm going to go ahead and go, you guys. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to listen to Riley's story. Hopefully we have some sort of update in the next couple of days. Make sure to keep an eye out on my Instagram. I might post a short also if there is some sort of information that's big that comes out. And on that note, I'm going to go ahead and go. If you haven't already, go ahead and hit the subscribe button down below to become a part of the Howland fam so that we can hopefully bring them home together or bring them justice together. And I will see you guys in my next video.